Hello, Lenape. My name is John Scott Richardson. We're doing a program today here at historic Richmond town, and we're covering American Indian Heritage Month or Native American Heritage Month to share with the people a little bit of history and knowledge and understanding of our indigenous people here in the Americas, up here in North America precisely. And so therefore, some of the things I'll talk about is we're in the northeastern region, which right now we're located in Staten Island, which was a large area for Lenape people, Delaware Lenape. I am not Lenape, I am a Halawasaponi from the south, but I have been given some knowledge and understanding of the original people that used to inhabit these areas, right? So this area was known as Lenapehoking, which is a gathering place for many tribes to come and exchange goods and items and history and have counsel when there was decisions to be made, right? So a lot of the people that came here are the Haudenosaunee people, the Pequot individuals, Mohicans, okay, the Unkachug, the Shinnecock, the Montauk, the Lenape, which now the Lenape were actually they were sort of displaced, and a lot of them now live in Stockbridge, the Stockbridge Muncie, live up in Wisconsin and Minnesota and Canada and the Delaware, which are in Oklahoma. The Lenape specifically do not have a reservation or a reserve here in the state of New York, and it's very unfortunate, but I know that they are trying to reclaim a lot of these areas and have a presence here that will represent that former presence that they used to have.
Okay, my name is Tohanish Tarrant. I'm from the Shinnecock Indian Nation from Long Island, Southampton. And I'm here today to share some of my work. I'm a beadwork artist, I'm a dancer and performer. And with me today I have a medallion that I'm working on. This is a type of necklace that is worn all over Native America, and this is what I'm working on for a Shinnecock tribal member. I also have other beadwork here, earrings, necklaces, and these are all pieces that are made by myself or family members. They're all one of a kind, and they're inspired by our environment, by our traditions, and they also have a touch of contemporary style to them. If you'd like to see more of my work, you can find it on thunderbirddesigns.com or follow me on Instagram at thunderbirddesigns. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Oh, wow, that's fantastic. I'm glad to see you all here. My name is John Scott Richardson, and I bring you greetings in the Haudenosaunee language of Lenape, which means good morning. Thank you for coming. I'm an enrolled member of the Halawasaponi tribe in eastern North Carolina. I also have Tuscarora lineage in upstate New York, as well as North Carolina, the Tuscarora tribe here as well. I've been in New York for about 8 years, so bear with my southern accent if you don't quite understand what I'm saying. But it's really good to see you all come out. This is really like, I want to say, just grab a seat, and if you need more chairs, we got some chairs right up there in the back. You can grab it and position somewhere. Thank you, Kathleen, for helping us. This is like sort of the first full event that we've been working with Historic Richmond Town to bring a little bit of what we consider like a land acknowledgement, reclaiming of space, indigenizing some spaces throughout New York and the eastern area. There's a big movement about that, and I've been working with Luke and Historic Richmond Town on educational programming, and we felt like this would be a good opportunity to engage with you guys and really bring the first of a cultural outreach where we educate, right? This is not a powwow. This is more an educational exhibition where you get to engage with us, learn a little bit about us, so we may not seem as strange to you because the history books are not going to talk about us in contemporary society, right? But this is how we live today, and this is how we walk in both roads. And so I wanted to share that with you while my dancers are back there getting ready. We're going to bring them out here shortly. But again, this is American Indian Heritage Month, and it's not so much, it's not really, that is, how do I say it? It's not as much weight on it for us because we celebrate ourselves all year long, right? We are who we are every day when we wake up and we walk these ways. But on top of that, the larger world recognized this month, and it was established by George W. Bush in 1990 as a federal holiday, or Federal Recognition Month, I'm sorry. And the actual day is November 26th here in the United States. It's a different day in Canada. I believe it's actually in the spring, but here it is that one day and this whole month. And so I've been doing programs throughout schools. Miss Claudia back there, my auntie, and my brother Patrick. We've been pretty much in schools I would say every day just about for the last couple of weeks. And it is still sort of alarming sometimes to see our culture is still sort of talked about us in the past. Right? We don't talk about the things we're doing now and how we're living now. Right? So how many of you all know out there that we have the first Native American female that's on the moon? Nobody, a few people. That's good. Yeah, Miss Mann is her name, right? And she's the first Native American female from a tribe in California that's on the moon, right? It didn't happen 50, 100 years ago. Today, it's happening now. So that's why I'm here today, to let you know that we're still here. And we're glad to be here, right? Share Turtle Island with everybody because it's a beautiful place and everybody can have space here and enjoy a relationship with each other. We also have the furs, and Luke would like this. And if you see Luke, if you don't know Luke, he's the gentleman in the back that's helping get everything together. You'll see him become a great friend of mine. That is Mr. Sams III, Chuck. He's been appointed to be the director over all the parks in the United States. And he is an American Indian gentleman from out west, and he's been involved with parks and restoration and conservation efforts all his life because he was brought up that way. Right? So these are some people now that are making, of course, we know Secretary Deb Howlett, that is the first Native American appointed by the president to the secretary position in the United States. Right? We also have Ms. Frijo, who is the laureate poet for the United States. Right? And these are people living today, making contributions today. And so we want to bring this program with you and show a little bit of our culture. We are so diverse. We just don't only dance and sing and do craft work, but we are educators, we are lawyers, we're representatives, we're business owners, right? And we're teachers. And we may have people living right next door to you that you've never seen before and didn't know that they were from a tribe, right? Because we sometimes, depending on where we are, we may just blend into what we're doing because we may not feel recognized or accepted, right? So I'm gonna get ready to, I think some of my dancers are doing last minute checks. And I'm gonna give them a couple more minutes to prepare. And we've done again, so feel free to ask questions throughout the day. This is the first dance presentation that we're gonna do. It's about 40 minutes, right? And we're gonna get some of you guys up and involved. So don't think you're gonna just sit there on the other side of the glass at a zoo. We're gonna have you come in and be here with us, right? Which is important because we love to share. It's never been an issue of us sharing, right? Probably got us in trouble sharing too much in some cases, but we love to share, right? And so we love to see people laugh and engage because for us, it's about humanity, right? It's about being a human being, and we all are connected because we all have this. If you place your hand right over your heart, what do we all have together? Everybody in this room.
A heart.
We all have a heart, right? And we let certain things like height and looks and money and economics and all that make people think that they're different, but we're not different, right? We all come here to Mother Earth the same way. We're going to leave the same way, and we all carry this together, right? And it's about time that we start embracing one another and walking that way every day. My brother here in the middle, my uncle, David Martin, 5 minutes, okay. Here's Tahanish coming. He and I, along with Lou and Ian, we work very hard to actually keep to build a village out there, a early living structure. And part of that, David will explain, is that we wanted to show that there was a time when there was a relationship where the colonial settlements lived in sort of a conjunction where tribal people would live, right? And so that's kind of where we started at. David, if you want to walk with him out there for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, you're more than welcome to. He will explain the structure. He will explain what went into it, you know, all of that stuff. And I think you all will be very pleased. And then spend some time with the vendors, right? All of these vendors that are here are indigenous vendors, right? They're not selling anything from Korea or China. These products are handmade or relatives throughout the country that they have in their home, like Mr. Yazi downstairs. He brings stuff from the Navajo Nation. There's Tecumseh who brings wampum. And ask them about what they're doing, because they're teaching, like wampum, the Tecumseh can show you how he's taking the callus off of those wampum, those quahog shells, and bringing out that pretty white shell underneath and making jewelry from them, right? So don't, feel free to ask them questions. They're willing to engage and share with you guys. So, without further ado, I think that's all of my opening remarks. It was a calling song to bring our dancers into the arena and to get people prepared. So I'm just going to start singing and they're going to be coming on out here now. Going away, 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 going away, hey, away, away. For many different tribes across the diaspora of the Northeast. Too many tribes for me to really name at this point, at this moment, but there are still live, living communities today where these communities still operate and embrace their culture. This is not costumes. Costumes are what people wear for Halloween when they dress up to be something that they're not. Everyone up here is from a tribe across the country, and they represent their nation and their community proudly with what they're wearing, as well as some of the service and duties. We have some veterans here that are amongst us. My brother Blaze and my brother Patrick down there. They serve protecting this country. And so they wear their items with pride. And a lot of these items have things that are representative of their family and their lineage and have been gifted to them, right? So these are things you just can't pick up at a Walmart somewhere, even though some of the duct tape on there you might find. But these things are very sacred to them, and they're passed down from generation to generation. Like the young lady Tahanish there, she has things that's been gifted to her. Her son is wearing stuff that's been gifted to him and handed down. So it's maybe these little guys here. All right, so that's some things I want you to keep in mind. And so right now, I just want to start maybe highlighting some of our individual dancers. Josh is Halawasa Pony and Blaze Kyle, right, Blaze? Mohawk. And okay, I'm learning everybody. So basically, what you see them wearing is what we call a grass dance outfit, right? So they have a lot of fringe or ribbon work or hanging on their regalia. Now the story that I was told and shared with me is that there's a whole society long ago of individuals that are called grass dancers, or grass dance society. And they had a role. Again, everybody in the tribal community had a role. And the grass dancers, their role was to go out and prepare the campment or the place out in the plains where the camp would set up. Okay, so they would go and they would pat the grass down. If you pat the grass down a certain way and not break the grass, that grass would pop back up later when the camp moves, right? So this was the role, and they would pray. They would have prayers, or they would carry sweetgrass braids or items in their hand, and they would pray over those grounds. So anyone that would walk on those grounds, young people play on those grounds, would be protected and taken care of in a good way. Right? So this was the role of grass dancers, and their movement is a very nice and graceful, a very angelic, athletic movements that they make, very balanced all the time, right? And so they wearing, both of them have on ropecia or porky roach head dresses with two feathers up in the top, and this represents balance. We always try to stay in balance, right, with ourselves. That's part of the natural world. The natural world tries to stay in balance. Sometimes things get a little crazy over here, some things get crazy over here. It all comes back to the balance, right? And we all are striving for that every day as human beings. So I'm gonna let my two grass dancers do a small song and demonstrate. Patrick Little Brooks, and Mr. Brooks is he has served 3 tours in Iraq, and he is he's done 12 years in the Army. If we look at Patrick's regalia, he's got a little buddy down. There's a little chicken dancer here, grass chicken dancer. Patrick is also a grass dancer at heart. But so we bring our warriors out because, again, the men's tradition is one of the oldest dances that we've had going back into millennia, right? The warriors would go out and they would protect the people, or they would fight for the people, or they would go out for the hunt to bring things back for the survival of the village, right? And a lot of times when they come back, they would pantomime the things that they experienced while they were out there. Right? They would tell that story to the community, to the tribal community when they came back. And some of them came back maybe wounded or hurt, and or whatever they had to do, but to show that bravery, they were gifted feathers, eagle feathers. Now, Patrick has eagle feathers on his bustle and on the top of his roach. And all of these feathers were gifted to him. You can't go to the store and buy eagle feathers because it's a federal crime if you possess eagle feathers and you are not a tribal card carrying Native American, right? So all of these feathers were gifted to him because and each one of those feathers represents a soldier that he brought back home safely when he was out in military service. So this is something that we don't just carry these things around to show off. These are things that we've earned and things that have been, we've been blessed and honored to walk in this good way, right? And you notice on his regalia, he has some side drops on his regalia. He's carrying his eagle fan as well. He has bear claw necklace, which represents strength and protection, right? Because we all know a grizzly bear, they always are protected, right? And so I'm going to get Patrick to demonstrate. Oh, somebody's hungry. So Patrick is going to give us a demonstration of a men's traditional dance here. And again, and I'm also wearing a traditional regalia as well, but mine is more of an Eastern woodland style regalia. And I'll explain and talk about that a little bit more in a minute. I don't think Patrick likes this song. We're going to go with this one. Being mentored by Patrick, and this is also how we also teach, right? We start from inside our mother's tummy, right? So earlier that song I was singing, I don't know if you all felt anything or not when I was drumming that song on singing that song on the drum, right? But as I mentioned earlier, we all have a heartbeat, right? So when we're first in our mother's tummy, what is the first sound we hear? We hear her heart. Right? And that also is part of our natural rhythm. Everything in the universe has a rhythm. And it sometimes just gets off, sometimes it's nice and easy, right? But when we share that with the young people, they remember that. Because when you're young, you still remember that sound. When you get old like me, you may not remember it as much, or you may not understand what you're connected to. But when you're young, you instinctively are connected to that, right? So thank you again, Patrick, for that. So this is Miss Claudia Hadid. You will come out, please, and present yourself in the front. And Miss Cheyenne Brooks, will you come out? These are our women's traditional dancers. Give them a round of applause. Yes, you want to present yourself?
I know, but that's what you said.
She's going to give me a hard time, y'all. Just let you know, she keeps us in check. So if you notice how they're dressed, right? They're dressed in a cloth style. There are several different styles of women's traditional dress, but they are representing Miss Claudia here is Mi'kmaq or Micmac from up above Maine in the area of Maine and Canada, right? And this is the ribbon work and scroll work and bead work is all representative of her tribal community, right? And she's carrying, you have a hawk fan or eagle. She has her eagle fan. And in the center that you will see that traditional beadwork. If you remember the old pin cushions long ago that your grandmother might have had, or old purses that had been beaded by traditional Native community, this is some of that beadwork that she's done right there. And then if you look at Cheyenne there, I think she has a macaw fan, right? Now a lot of people would say the macaw bird is not traditional to New York, but you have to remember, our people used to gather down near Arizona and Mexico and upstate near Ohio, and people would come from all four corners of this hemisphere to bring items to trade, right? And so we have found these fans in Oklahoma and places like that with macaw feathers because they were traded. So we're gonna, and their dance style is very graceful. This is the oldest female dance. Just like Patrick is the oldest men's dance, this is the oldest female's, the woman's dance, and it is very graceful as she walks on Mother Earth, right? Because you have to remember, there's an original story from the Haudenosaunee people about Sky Woman that came down, and she came down as she walked the earth, wherever she touched, life began. Right? And this is the way they carry themselves because they are the life bearers and wisdom keepers, right? Most of the tribes, not every, but most of the tribes were matriarchal, right? Which means the women had leadership roles. They voted, they owned land, right? And they controlled the camp. And then they said if they didn't like their mate, they could set his moccasins out the door, and he would know when he walked up on that porch, I got my bags and going home. I'm not welcome here anymore. And there was no questions about it. There was no settlement, there was no litigation, right? But this is the way it was. And women also influenced what is known here in this country as the women's rights movement. The women's suffrage movement started when the women that were colonial women saw how the leadership roles that the Haudenosaunee women had, and they said, wow, that's different. They dress different, they have rights, right? You know, this is not what we're used to as colonial women. And they started to learn from them. And there's a whole museum up in Seneca Lake that talks about that. So I encourage you to learn about the history, the living history of this country. Not just when the first ship started, but there was a history way before that. So I'm going to do a women's traditional dance, and you can watch our women here do their nice, graceful movements. dancer I would like to bring out is our men's fancy. If I can bring out our men's fancy dancers, so that would be Cody and Zachary. Okay, so these two, can these two young men come out and stand in front, please? Oh, they're coming. I meant Cody and Xavier. I'm sorry, Cody and Xavier. I'm sorry. So this is Mr. Cody Terrence, and this is Mr. Xavier. All right, give them a hand, everybody. And you have to realize that these young people they've been doing shows and presenting throughout the area. I know Cody does school programs, Xavier probably does school programs, right? And so, but we're going to talk about how their style of regalia came. If you notice, they're dressed a little bit different than the other group, right? So they have, unlike Mr. Patrick with one bustle on his back, they have two. They have a shoulder bustle and they have a waist bustle. And they also have small bustles on their shoulders, on their upper arm, right? And they also carry these horse whips, with this sort of what they call whips or horse whips. Now this style is a little bit more of a contemporary style. This style was developed basically around the time, anybody remember the Buffalo Bill Wild West shows and stuff like that? Yeah? No? Nobody? Yeah? Okay. I like audience participation, right? Okay. Again, we're not in a museum here. We're live, right? Let's be enjoyable. And so, but the Buffalo Bill Wild West shows, they used to come out and do these dances, but it wasn't very entertaining to the people because it wasn't flashy and colorful. So they were encouraged to jazz it up a little bit, right? Now, their style of dance is very fast and very athletic, and they have to have a lot of stamina, right? Because their dancing pace is a little bit faster. And so they use these whips, and part of, see the angora on their legs represent the strength of the horse, right? Some of the spin moves they do and the movements are very athletic and very strong, and it represents strength, right? And this is a fancy war dance. So and they also, Cody has a roach on top of his head, and he has two feathers in his roach as well. Again, it's all about balance, right? And maintaining that balance within things. So I'm gonna dance, let's see here if I can find my men's fancy song. It's just two pushes, guys, so it's not very long. And their dance is so fast that it's gonna go by really quick. So I'll have to mess around with this microphone a little bit. So here we go. And they love it when they hear you guys clap and sing along. Clap and sing along. They love it. They're giving it going. All right. Good job, everybody. Dancer. We have two of them, okay? And this is Tahanish Tarrant and her daughter, Kiki Tarrant. And it's a little ironic that their son is also a men's fancy dancer, so we have a little family of fancy dancers. Now, if you notice, their regalia is completely different. It's even more different than the other ladies that were out here, the women's traditional dancers, right? Now, the special thing about theirs, they have fringe, and they have a shawl draped over their shoulder. They can show you how beautiful their shawl is, right? And they have an eagle plume in the top of their head, which is very special. It's been gifted to them, right? Now, they also do certain steps, and they also, generally, when you see them step in one direction, they're going to do what? Step in the opposite direction, because it's about what? Balance, right? That's very key. So they might step one way 4 times, and then step another way 4 times. Or they may spin one direction, and then turn around and spin in the other direction. It's, again, about balance, and this is how they're taught to dance these ways. Now, this style of dance is also a very contemporary style of dance. It emerged because a lot of times the women were actually putting on men's fancy regalia and dancing men's fancy. And in contest songs, they were winning the contest, and the men weren't very happy about that. They said, well, go create your own. And so they did. And notice they don't have any muscles on their shoulders. They use their shawl to take up space and furl and spin and move, right? And the story of this is generally also called the butterfly dance. And what that means is that there was a story about a young lady who was a little embarrassed, and she was growing up. She didn't quite know how her place would be in the world, and she almost didn't feel like going on. Well, she went inside herself and went into a cocoon, and when she emerged as a butterfly. And so this story is about the butterfly, and you will see them, a lot of their twirls and movement actually mimic that butterfly, right? Can you imagine this room full of about 30 of these women dancing with their shawls wide open and spinning? It will be a beautiful sight, right? You remember that movie Avatar, right? When they were walking through the jungle and those little things jumped up and with all the pretty lights on it and they started flying through the jungle? This is, to me, if I was standing up above this scene 15 and 20, that's what they would remind me of. So here is Tahanish and her daughter Zuki. Both of them are champion dancers. Actually, Tahanish and her family are actually from Shinnecock, which is there up on the island in East Hampton. Southampton, Long Island, and they're Shinnecock enrolled, and they also are going to have some beading stuff to demonstrate as well later today. So I'm going to play this little song and see if we can get them worn out like we did the guys. How about that? Thank you, Judy. Thank you. Is our jingle dress dancer. And so, if Miss Gracie is on her way up to the front, I'm going to talk a little bit about her regalia. Now, the jingle dress also has this, I wouldn't really, it's contemporary, but it has her, give her a hand, Miss Gracie. She's a very, very sweet young lady. I've been knowing Miss Gracie ever since she was probably about 8 years old, since I first moved up here. And her uncle was a mentor of mine and very close to me. And I was close to him. I don't know how close he was to me, but I was close to him. And so she's dressed a jingle dress style. Now these dresses, as they grow, can get more and more combs, but generally it's about 365 combs. Originally, it used to be shell work, right? But now they use metal snuff can lids to create these little combs. They can be silver, brass, or copper. But some of these dresses, when a woman is tall, maybe say my height, and she's wearing this dress, can weigh up to 60 or 80 pounds, right? And her Gracie's doesn't weigh that much yet because she's not as tall, hasn't layered combs on them that far yet, but this is also a healing dance, right? This dance has a story about an elder who had a dream and to send 4 women out to dance for a sick young lady in their community. And they danced all night and all day. And by the 36th hour, the young lady was starting to come around and be revived. So this dance has a special meaning. These dances are passed down. They're not just something you can learn from a book or just pick up somewhere without knowing the context of what they mean, right? Because people do it all the time, but if they don't know what it means and what the purpose of it is for, it actually takes away from the power of that dance, right? So these are some of the things we think about. So when you listen to her dance, you will hear those combs in rhythm with the drum, making it sound like this. And it sounds like, to me, it sounds like when it rains in the country where I'm from, on a metal roof, right? And who does not have a healing feeling when they hear that sound of rain rhythmically hitting the roof? Right? So we think about that when Miss Gracie is doing this dance, because if you get a good feeling and it makes you smile, that makes her happy, because she does this to bring you guys joy and bring honor to her family, right? So I'm going to play a little bit of this song for Miss Gracie. And this is the first time I work with Miss Gracie like this, so I hope I don't throw her off too much. But she's a sweet girl. She still like me anyway, I think. All right, Miss Gracie, here we go.
Thank you. Thank you. We have a big problem in this country that we are losing our language. Some of us still have, but due to colonization, they forced us not to talk. And so I'm a lucky one that still knows a few words. And I'm going to say, Upchalazi, Medan Giskuk, Nina Deluisinin, Mikjik Bibukwis, Englisia Deluisinin, Claudia Haddad. I said, welcome. I said, how are you all today? My name, my indigenous name is Mikjik Bibukwis, and my English name is Claudia Haddad. I'm going to do you a song that was sung many years ago when we used to have gatherings. In the Prince Edward's Island, there was an island that we used to all get together, and there were once a year gathering. And let's say powwow, but it wasn't. It was more like the tribe would get together and trade, marry, have relationships, build relationships. And in the old days, there used to be a scout on top of the mountain that used to watch the canoes come in. And so he goes this way.
Thank you, Miss Claudia. Yahweh, Yahweh. Thank you. Shwant. Hello, my name is Patrick Littlewolf. I'm of the Haudenosaunee people, or you call us the Iroquois Nation, or in my language, Skaore, the Tuscarora Nation. I'm a sixth generation flute player. I've been playing just about my whole life. And my family made flutes, and it's something that we picked up. It was very important for us ugly guys because this is how we picked out women. See, when I was growing up, traditionally, you couldn't just walk up to women and get their numbers because you had to go through aunties, sisters, grandmas. So I come from a matrilineal tribe, so there was a way about going about things, but there was always a loophole. You know, us men, we'll find a loophole. So what I have with me is a love flute. So I wanted to play a love song, my wife, how I got her. I always tell this story because my wife was way out of my league. Way out of my league. She was gorgeous, she was beautiful, she was talented, educated, and I was just this podunk country boy from North Carolina that had a big heart, and she seen something in me. But I had to get her attention. I didn't have the money, didn't have the looks or the height. When you jump out of airplanes as long as I did, you kind of shrink a little bit when you hit the ground. So he didn't have the height, so I had to do something else. So I wrote her a song. I wrote her a love song. So I'm going to play two songs for you. I'm going to play a traditional love song, a song I wrote for her that made her notice me.
I don't know if it's the fact that I made her laugh or that the song made her smile. So I hope you enjoy the song. So the first song, I'm not going to have any background music. It's just going to be me playing traditionally. So I hope you enjoy. And this song is labeled Running Through My Mind. A lot of women don't realize that when a man is hung up on you, that's all you do is run through his mind. He can be at work, he can do whatever he wants to do, but you're still there. That's why a man will always say you drive him crazy. Because even though you're not there, you're there. So this song is called Running Through My Mind. For me, it's very important. This dance is very important. It's not about it having a good time. This is one of the oldest dances that run amongst all time. The friendship dance is the dance that we share. Even though you couldn't speak our language, you can always dance and listen to song. So it allowed us to be, if you can dance with one another, your family. So don't worry, this song will only be shared on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, MySpace, Space. All right, it's really simple. I see a lot of my older people in here. I know you have to do electric slide, so I know you can do this. It's really easy. We're just going to do one step to the right. Get to the right. And it's really easy. It's just 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Nice and easy, all right? I got arthritis, so don't hurt me. We're going to real slow and easy. Young people, don't snatch each other. We're going to get right to the rhythm. I'm going to jump right in with you. John, lead us off. We're going to start with just a balance first.
My name is Patricia Tarrant. I'm the Deputy Director at the American Community House. We're the oldest and largest nonprofit Native American organization in New York City, and we provide services for Native Americans. We have different culture workshops, and we do have different events. Our Instagram is at AICH-NYC, and we have a Facebook page called American Indian Community House.
Hi everyone, my name is Rudy Lazaro, and I'm originally from Bolivia. I'm Quechua, I'm a Quechua artist. My mom is from Wanuni, Oruro, and my dad is from Potosi, a village called Yura. And that's where my roots are. That's what I usually go and practice and visit my family. I started making jewelry when I was 12 years old. I got really a goal, and I haven't stopped since then. So throughout the years, I became a silversmith, a goldsmith, a designer. I learned how to trust my instinct about creating jewelry for other people, and I've been experiences. I've been sharing and walking on this path with a lot of Native people here up in the North America, and so we share a lot of things in common. And in that note, I create a lot of the my jewelry based on their protection animals or the idea or philosophy of their way of life. So follow me on Instagram. It's a Rudy Lazaro with double Z design, RUDYLAZZARO designs, and ask me for anything that you want. If you see something there, you can purchase it, or you can just keep following our Instagram and see where we're gonna be next. We do a lot of powwows on the East Coast. So I love you. I have a wife and 2 kids, Sarah, Gabito, and Waida. I love them very much, and thank you.
I'm from a tribe in North Carolina, the 3rd largest tribe in North Carolina, and we have migratory stories coming down from the Great Ohio Valley region, which would be over there by Allegheny and Lake Seneca or Seneca Falls, and coming to lower Virginia and then northern North Carolina. And so we exchange things with these people all over the place, like different songs, like the stomp dance and the alligator dance and the mosquito dance and longhouse ceremonies, and all of these things were shared at some point, maybe been specific to one region for a while, but also shared with people that came in good spirits. And so that's some of the things that we're trying to share today, and understand that history did not just start in 1492. The destruction started in 1492. history goes way back before that in these areas when there were no borders. People traveled back and forth freely, right? But it was always about respect. So if you went into someone's homeland or territory, you showed them respect, right? For coming there, you offered them a gift or you offered them some service for you being there. It wasn't about my privilege to go there or my privilege to seek out. And if it did happen, then that's when wars and disagreements were started. And our women were the first ones to sit down and try to negotiate these differences, right? And work out a solution, right? So these are some things that we want to try to share today. And remember, America is only like 200 and some years old itself. America is still considered a baby, right? And so it's a lot to be learned. And American Indians were the first conservationists. They know how to recycle. They know how to work with the land and listen to the land to plant. Our waters are being damaged. Our trees are being torn down. And fires are raping and killing our earth. And I mean, these things are important to remember how to take care. We are caretakers. We're not here to dominate. Our instructions were to live a certain way with our brothers and relatives and sisters, the trees, the plants, the earth, the animals, so we can all live here successfully, right? But those original instructions are being forgotten or have been forgotten. But the animals still remember their original instructions, right? They go out and do what they're supposed to do every day to live in balance. And we have to learn to go back to those roots and learn to do that again. So that's just my message today. I want to thank you for, sharing with you. If you have any questions, you can reach me at John Scott Richardson on Instagram or John Scott Richardson on Facebook, which I don't do a lot of Facebook, but I'm on Instagram. And I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
You know where we are.
Right.